YouTube, it's me, it's the man who likes to RNT, dropping a fresh VID for you today. And today, I want to talk turkey with you guys about Impact Wrestling. But you'll hear me refer to it as TNA Wrestling, because no matter how many name changes they go through, they'll always be TNA to me. Now, before I get into the actual rant of this video, I want to say that as a wrestling fan, I actually have a lot of love for Impact Wrestling. It's because of this federation that I got to see and become aware of such great talent as AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, James Storm, the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels, just to name a few. Bobby Roode, certainly, can't forget him. Eric Young, the list goes on and on and on and on. And yet, there's no denying that they are struggling. Now, they're struggling for several reasons. Despite what Dixie Carter would have you believe, TNA's TNA's financial situation is in the shitter. They are so bad that they are months behind in paying talent or stage crew, causing many of them to leave to go to WWE, or at least consider signing elsewhere, Japan or whatever have you. Now, let's talk about some of the good things that TNA has done. I became aware of TNA in 2005, 2006, 2007. And during that time, WWE was sucking worse than they are right now. Yes, it is possible. Don't sit there and glare at me. I see you with those questioning eyes. Yes, it did happen that WWE's product was worse back then than it is now. So to me, seeing matches such as the Ultimate X and Six Sides of Steel, seeing competitive tag matches where wrestling was the focus instead of soap opera storylines, was truly a breath of fresh air. I was like, thank you. And then Jeff Jarrett, who was the original founder and creator of this brand, got in some financial trouble. So he called upon Dixie Carter. I just threw up in my mouth a little bit from having to say that. She was a very rich woman, thanks to her father. And Jeff brought her to see her first wrestling match, and like most fans, or at least fans like me experienced, once you watch wrestling the first time, if you like it, you're hooked. That's just the way things are. You're hooked, you're drawn in, you're captivated by the characters, and Dixie decided she wanted to be a part of it. And if she'd just been a part in a financial role, I think it would have been just fine. But she made herself president of the company. Let me be clear. To effectively run a wrestling company, you have to have some level of experience within a wrestling company. That's why Eric Bischoff was successful in WCW when he had the Nitro years. And that's why Jim Herd was unsuccessful in WCW during his time as president. What was his experience, you asked? He was a manager at a Pizza Hut. And WCW said, that's the man we want running our stuff. And then ratings tanked and he was shown the door. Now, Dixie has screwed this company over on multiple levels, but I'm going to tackle the biggest one. The constant shifting from network to network. Oh, they started out on Spike TV on the Dixie Carter Watch, and we're doing decent numbers for a new federation. 2 million views, 2.5. I think they might have hit 3 once or twice. My astute wrestling fans can comment down below and tell me if that's true or not. Things were going well. Surprisingly, things were going well with Vince Russo at the helm of creative, which was an edict that Spike TV officials didn't want Vince Russo running because of past dealings with all the PR he generated for Raw that was negative when he was the head writer there. So they went to Dixie and they said, don't don't have Vince Russo in charge of your creative. Don't even have him employed. We don't want any association with him. So clearly, that was the first edict they laid down that Dixie violated. And then, by the way, they also said, by the way, we don't want to see man on woman violence on a show we back. We think that sends the wrong message to America. And so, what did Dixie do shortly after receiving this edict? Granted, it was the payoff of a storyline because she had been the bane of existence to Team 3D, aka the Dudley Boys, for many weeks and months on end. So the payoff was them getting to put her through the table, which for wrestling fans worked. Unfortunately, powerbombing a woman through a table, for those who don't know, was truly an act of violence. So again, a second thing has been violated. Unbelievable. So Spike said, goodbye, we can't have you. And then Dixie reached into her bag of tricks and on the 11th hour found a network for TNA to have a home on Destination America, which gave them 1/3 of the audience they had on Spike. But it's one of those any port in a storm, and things were kind of going well in that they were being seen. But then Dixie, in her infinite wisdom, sent an email which she meant to keep in house, but accidentally forwarded the contents of the email to one of the Destination America executives, calling them fucking idiots. I don't know about the rest of you, but if I had a boss, and if you have a boss, if you want to get fired real quick, walk in and call them a fucking idiot. See how quick you get shown the door. It'll happen like that. And so Destination America said goodbye. And then they found Pop TV, formerly known as the TV Guide channel. And that works for them, I guess. They have been producing better television. I'm seriously intrigued by a lot of the aspects of TNA programming that I'll talk about in just a second. They have the same number of people who have access to Spike also have access to Pop TV. So in theory, they have the same amount of an audience. But unfortunately, people aren't aware of Pop TV's existence, so they aren't doing as good a numbers as they were hoping, though they have been steadily on the rise lately. I believe that's due to a more coherent program and what beleaguered talent they do have after losing Eric Young, Bobby Roode, Awesome Kong getting fired because she can't keep her hands off of people who aren't wrestlers. Seems to be common, right? Bubba the Love Sponge? Yeah, we all know about that incident. Anyway, they're doing the best they can. They have bolstered it a little with Drew Galloway and their partnership with AAA, getting people like Tigre Uno on the roster and Trevor Lee and Shane Helms. There are good wrestlers there. There's no doubt about it. Unfortunately, in regards to the world title, I'm so happy Drew Galloway got it and he's doing the best he can. But when every one of the few remaining wrestling publications have said we don't acknowledge the TNA World Championship as a legitimate wrestling championship, you're kind of screwed no matter how hard you work at it. What else can I say? Oh, I am really happy that Maria Kanellis Bennett is on TV and playing a character that is not just, I'm going to sound perky and stupid like she did early on. Like, the most intelligent she sounded in WWE was when Mick Foley talked to her with Mr. Sacco during Eric Bischoff's trial. If you haven't seen that, I suggest you look it up. But I'm glad she's there. I'm not sold on the internet darling that it is her husband, the Miracle Mike Bennett. I understand what they're trying to do, and I get that he's a heel and a cowardly heel, I just don't like that kind of wrestler who runs and runs and runs. If you're going to do a cowardly heel, in my mind, it's best to do it the way Kevin Owens does it. Yeah, he runs and runs and runs before the match, but then when the match starts and it's time to fight, he fights his butt off. Bennett doesn't do that. I will say I do believe that the knockouts are the better brand of female wrestlers when we don't include people like Paige and Charlotte and Becky, the four horsewomen, even Bayley. I know she's not on the main roster, but she's a fantastic wrestler. So WWE is pushing its women higher, but they haven't quite gotten to the point that the knockouts are at yet. So there are positives that TNA does with the company. I love the rivalry between Matt and Jeff that's going on right now, especially with Matt taking the psycho kind of perception that Jeff broke him, so now he's out to destroy Jeff, and that's all that matters. He's even doing a great job of disowning his family on TV. It's a fantastic story. I love it. Unfortunately, TNA's biggest problem is not unlike those that used to plague ECW back in the day. Big enough to get young wrestlers noticed and their talents displayed. Not big enough to keep him when companies like WWE come along and say, knock on your door and say, hey, you want to get paid on time for a change? And most people go, yeah, yes, I would. So they defect. Do I think TNA can pull out of it? Yes, but only if someone, it could even be Bill Currington, but I don't think he will because he and Dixie are like this. Someone needs to come out and buy controlling interest of the TNA/Impact Wrestling brand and make some wholesale changes to make the product more appealing to current wrestling fans because it's just not working. And I don't want to see TNA fail. I don't want to see Vince's monopoly grip that he already has on the professional wrestling business tighten by the extinction of another wrestling company. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. But I don't know if TNA has the foresight or the ability to turn themselves around while Dixie Carter is at the helm. She's trying, and she's not as bad as she used to be, though trust me, she's still pretty bad. But she's slowly trying to get more and more of an audience. And if they can keep themselves on pop TV long enough, they may begin to grow an audience that could at least sustain them to a level of profitability that could allow their existence to continue. I want to know what some of my subscribers' favorite moments are in TNA. And if you're unfamiliar, you can find them on YouTube. I highly recommend any 6 Sides of Steel matches, any Ultimate X matches that you can find. They're definitely worth the watch, and I guarantee you'll say wow at least one time. Anyway, post your comments down below. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Ranter's going to get off the soapbox. I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.